And just like that, somehow we've struggled through another week. To make it to Friday, it is Friday the 11th of October, heading towards the great week next week. It's not. Hi everybody, I'm Russ Kane. This is the Midday Show. This is what's left of me. You can hear, got a cold. It's because I've been using the tube a lot to go into town for meetings and stuff, and everybody coughs and splutters. It's revolting. Clearly, that's where I've got the cold from. So, anyway, from things underground to things behind a proscenium arch, from things of a mobile nature to things of a more static nature. Ladies and gentlemen, he is our very own, our fearless, our brave. He will not be muzzled. Theatre critic, Mr. Jonathan Baz.
Good afternoon. And I have to say, Russ, just catching a glimpse of you as you were warming yourself up as the seconds ticked down to midday today, I kind of thought I was being transported into the audition room of the jazz singer. Because really,
it's rubbish. Just absolutely, I find them so, the thing is, I find them so infuriating because it messes everything up. I can't sleep properly, and I've had to cancel some stuff because I just thought,
wish you well. I wish you well.
Listen, it's the worst thing that happens to me, JP. I'll be a very, very lucky man. Kimmy Lashmar, just a few of these. David's got a bad cold. Wish him better, Kimmy. Dave Sleet, who's up in Fife in Scotland. Greetings, one and all. The horologist to the stars, Robert Van Buren. Hi to you. And Clark Gilbert from America. My day off. Good morning, gents. Clark's a great guy. When he comes over to the UK, we hook up for like lunch and cigars. And it's just a great guy. I've only met him a couple of times. He's a cool dude.
Gosh, and if he's over in the United States, it's 7 a.m. for him at the earliest now.
He's a man of action.
Or the latest, rather. The latest. I'm going to drop in a quick happy birthday greeting to a good friend of mine, Anna. Hope she's having a very pleasant day today. And with no further ado, into some comment on things theatrical. Well, opening down in Windsor this week has been the what possibly was once a very lovely Italian farce, Filumena. This is now being just been revived, directed by Sean Matthias, who's a long-standing associate of the Theatre Royal Windsor and the Bill Kenwright Company.
Oh, okay.
And it stars Felicity Kendall.
Love her.
And Matthew Kelly.
Love him.
And they are both absolutely banging. They are a couple. The play opens to his screams of exasperation because they have wed. The wedding has just taken place before the curtain rises. They've wed and she is on her deathbed. But out of an act of passion, he's wed her. And as soon as the priest has concluded the final wedding blessings, she leaps up right as rain. She's conned the old bugger into marrying her. He lets out a shriek of exasperation. And it really is rather funny. And the two of them are absolute masters of their genre, of their acting, and of their craft. The play, however, and you then have you learn that Filumena, Wikipedia indicates that Filumena is a woman of 48, and Matthew Kelly's Don is somewhat a little older than her, and they have had a on-off relationship, unmarried, certainly consummated, but unsanctified, for some 35 years.
And what period of time is this set in?
Written in the 1940s. Set in the 1940s in Naples, and he has a dying gesture too, because he's continued to be a roguish old philanderer throughout all this time. And as an act of loving kindness, he's agreed to marry this woman who's been his living partner for 35 years. And of course, she pulls an absolute stunt on him by proving, in fact, that she's right as rain. He is exasperated, and the comedy out of that moment is gorgeous. Then you learn she's got children. Then you learn possibly he's the father of one of these children. We don't know who. So there's bits of farce that continue to emerge. But I have to say, it left myself and my theatre companion that evening bored once we'd got past the initial wave of laughs from Matthew and Felicity. It's it gets a bit stodgy. Now, maybe in its original form, written by a chappie called Eduardo de Filippo, who is some celebrated sounds like a bar of chocolate, a celebrated Neapolitan.
Just one.
Well, indeed. Indeed. What a multi-culti conversation this is. Got to be careful how you pronounce that.
That could have gone horribly wrong, but anyway, you're brave. You're feeling brave today, Jonathan.
Not off. Anyway, I think when De Filippo wrote it, with all the associated, and this is a lovely word, Italianità, which is a word I learned when I was writing about Morricone from some Italian friends of mine. Italianità is a very hard to describe, but it's that word that describes the essence of things that are Italian, just with a gorgeous sense of style and flair. It can apply to the food, the music, the culture, the architecture, the pasta, the prosciutto. Absolutely, the Italianità. Very hard to define, but you know, when you see it, the British equivalent might be British Leyland. For what?
Oh, Jesus!
You know,
under St. Alan Edwards Red Robbo.
Indeed. I mean, I was trying to think what is the equivalent in England or Britain of Italianità, and I feel when it was written, it was possibly sparkling in this Italian charm. It was translated in the 1970s by Keith Waterhouse and Willis Hall, both of whom are extremely clever gentlemen. But somehow or another, as you start wading through this father, who's the son, blah, 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 it frankly gets a little bit of hard work. So as an evening at the theatre, it's charming, it's gentle. There are moments of it that are really laugh out loud, knock down, hilarious. And the two of them are an absolute master. As I say, Filomena is a character who's meant to be 48. I think Miss Kendall has already seen 48. I'll leave it at that.
Beautifully put, Jonathan. I can see those two. That is a magical pairing, though.
It is a magical pairing. It is a magical pairing. I can see why they put the two of them together. It's on for another week. It's on until the 19th at Windsor. It's then on a tour which I understand is described in the profession as the Waitrose tour. It's going to Bath, Richmond, Guildford, so not too far away.
Not the little tour.
No, quite. Which is a great little phrase. Of
Waitrose tour. I'm going to put that in my back pocket because I love it. Well, look at this. Another American guest. Well, Ray Conn. Morning, Russ and guest. 4:10 a.m. in the Pacific Northwest. Wow.
Gosh,
hi, Ray.
I'll be there this time next week, funnily enough. But albeit not the Northwest, I'll be in more Southern California. Yes, it's not a must see. It has moments of loveliness and moments, as I say, that are now perhaps a little bit dated. But
What's it called again?
Filomena. Filomena, with an F. And I've got to say, all credit to Bill Kenwright Limited, the production company, under that wonderful helming eye of Jenny Seagrove, because Bill Kenwright, it's got a massive cast. It's got the two of them. It's got the young lady who's the Don's current squeeze, various friends, lawyers, servants in the household, etc., etc. So there's a big cast of actors that are being employed in this show.
Good.
And as I say, all credit to the Bill Kenwright Company for having the cojones to put this stuff on, take it round the country to theatre. Well, you know, regional theatre is so, let's not go up this alleyway, we've been there many times, but regional theatre is so affordable compared to the West End.
I just want to say this to all our American viewers and listeners, and it's dotted all over the United States today, which is fantastic. So it's this: if you don't know who Bill Kenwright was, sadly he passed away a year or two ago.
Yep.
He was a very, very brave guy where everyone was doing the safe things. He was terrific. He was a wonderful producer. He gave so many people their first break. Yeah, stars in their eyes. I was going to say that. And he gave so much life to the theatre, and so many people owe him so much. And I only met him the one time. We had a lovely conversation after one of his shows. He was absolutely charming and a great man, and he did so much for British theatre. So if you're watching in the States going, who's this Bill Kenwright guy? That's who he was. I think he was. Now Ray is asking this. Bill Kenwright was an actor at one point.
He was on Coronation. He was on
Corrie. Yeah, he was on Corrie as well. Yep. Absolutely. And then he hooked up eventually with the lovely Jenny Seagrove, who's been on the show, where you interviewed her, and then he passed. But a nice man with a huge legacy, wonderful legacy is left behind.
Yeah, a giant footprint into the English theatre.
Let me ask you a question. I want to ask you a question as our resident theatre critic. Matthew Kelly, most people knew him from, you're absolutely right, Stars in the Rise, and before that, Game for a Laugh, right? And was seen as a kind of lightweight prankster. I'll put it that way, right? Where in fact, he always was a terrific actor. Matthew Kelly is an excellent actor. You know, I've seen him doing stuff on TV dramas where he's a really nasty villain, stuff like that. And you think, how wasted was it? I understand it's a gig. I get it. But how wasted was he on like Game for a Laugh and all that, pretending to be such a buffoon? And I just wonder if that hurt his career. I know it's TV. It was a huge show with the lovely Jeremy Beadle and all of that. I just wonder if it kind of derailed him for a little bit. What do you think?
Hard to say, but you're absolutely right. I mean, and I've seen him on stage in some stunning stuff. I saw him, 2012. I'm just looking back through my reviews of Matthew Kelly's work. In Educating Rita, where he was Frank. I think Frank is the name of the character. Yeah, the professor.
The Michael Caine part.
Yeah, opposite Claire Sweeney.
Yes,
and it was absolutely gorgeous. You know, his work was fantastic.
Yeah, he's a real good actor.
Real laughter and tears in that. Gosh, that was June 2012. Saw him far more recently in Noises Off. Gosh, that was 2 years ago. He is a fantastic professional. He's got a great sense of timing in his comedy.
He's really good. He's really good. And
absolutely.
Felicity Kendall, I even forgive her for Rosemary and Thyme, one of the crappiest. And I love those cozy crime things, but boy, it was rubbish. But enjoyable rubbish. I mean, even I was a stretch for that. But I love Felicity Kendall. You know, she just lights up the place she wanted.
And she is still. I mean, is it gamine? Is that how one pronounces that word? Gamine, Gamine.
Gamin. Gamin.
Yeah. She is. She
not
is.
Gammon. Not Gammon.
No, definitely not. No, definitely not. She still has that lure about her, and because in her day, Philomena had been a prostitute.
Hang on.
Which is, of course, this is how she'd met the Don character, who's the Matthew Kelly character. And you can see that, as I say, Miss Kendall is no longer 48. But you can see that sparkle in her eye. She's been so perfectly cast. Gorgeous stuff. Like I say, it's a... Go on.
Christ, Graham Pack. Now, I don't know if this is true. It could be not bad for 78. She could be. She could be.
I was actually playing it more gentlemanly.
I know you were, but Graham's never pretended to be a gentleman.
And you know, if someone wants to Wikipedia it, by all means.
You're very noble of you.
Indeed. And it was years ago. I reviewed Anne Reid in a concert that she gave, a one-woman concert with a fabulous pianist in the Pheasantry in the King's Road.
I love the Pheasantry. Love it.
She insisted on taking me out to lunch a few weeks afterwards.
Who, Anne Reid?
Anne Reid, and thanking me for not referencing her age in the review, for not going down the path of saying she's fantastic for a woman of
her age.
Yes,
so
she said thank you so much for reviewing it as you found it on the night. And yeah, it was
what was that TV drama she was in, JB? Anne Reed,
that
she
was
walked away with it.
oh yes, with
The
with
guy who just keeps
Derek
killing people.
Jacobi. Was it you talking
Yes,
about the
with
Derek
Derek
Jacobi thing?
Jacobi was incredible.
And
Oh my God.
Last Tango in Halifax.
No. Where the killer, the guy pretends to be
Oh,
like
don't
a
know.
religious guy. Oh, Anne Reed was amazing.
She is.
He was
Yeah.
fantastic. True
But,
story, by the way. It was based on the truth. Anyway, there we go.
Anyway, all giants of their profession, which very neatly segues me into my review of Giant at the Royal Court. Well,
Okay. You see, I got to tell you why. I gotta fold my hand here and show you my deck. Is that as soon as I hear Royal Court, I'm like, oh Christ.
Yep. Well, listen, we're all on this planet. We all have our views. We all have our opinions, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, but as they say, opinions are like bottoms. We've all got one. We don't always want to see yours.
Indeed. I found myself quoting that phrase only this week.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. And I cleaned that one up, by the way.
Yes, I noticed. Anyway, you weren't referring to the Shakespearean character of Bottom.
No, I wasn't talking about Puck and Bottom and all the rest.
Indeed. Well done for getting that right.
Thank you.
Moving on, Giant,
yeah.
Which is, I have to say, if John Lithgow does not win the Olivier for his portrayal of Roald Dahl, then there is something wrong with those people who are assessing what is.
I love John Lithgow.
Okay,
oh my God, Third Rock from the Sun. Oh my God.
So this is a play, and it's a first play by a chappie called Mark Rosenblatt, who has a long career as a director, but he has written a play set in 1983, and it's set in Roald Dahl's house in Buckinghamshire. Roald Dahl has just published a book review back in 1983. The book was called God Cried, excuse me, and the book was an account of the Israeli, loosely described, of the Israeli army's action around Beirut in 1982. Dahl's review at the time was riddled with anti-Semitism.
What a surprise.
Indeed. It had caused an outcry, and this play, which is fiction but loosely based on the real events that occurred, is a lunch between Roald Dahl, his publisher, his real-life publisher, the head of Jonathan Cape, Tom Mashler, played very well by Elliot Levy, a fictitious character who the writer has made up of his American publishing agent, played by Romola Gary, and her name is Jessie. Both Mashler and Romola Gary are Jewish. And there's also involved in the show is the housemaid who's cooked this lunch and who intervenes occasionally with some rather interesting comments, and Dahl's fiance, who struck me as a bit of a Mitford type lady.
There you go. Say no more.
Given her love for
Hitler,
said author. It's in some respects, it's I have to say, the quality of the drama is outstanding. All of the actors are top notch. Lithgow in particular as Roald Dahl, though at times I felt he was a little bit of a cross between Roald Dahl and J.R. Hartley from the Yellow Pages advert.
Do you have a book about hating Jews by J.R. Hartley?
Oh yes, and my name. Yes.
My name is Adolf Hartley.
Do you have a Hating Jews by J.R. Hartley?
Anyway, go on.
So, sorry, I need a moment. It's brilliant theatre. It really is brilliant theatre. But I struggled to see the point of it because it allowed a platform for Dahl's anti-Semitism to be voiced, and all of the words that he says that are vilely anti-Semitic are verbatim. Rosenblatt has researched his work well, and there's nothing fictitious, and there are occasionally gasps from the Royal Court audience. Occasionally, upsettingly, there is occasional laughter at moments that I felt were not funny.
Of course, Royal Court.
And of course, it's very easy to conflate his views upon Israel. And I'm not going to say right or wrong. We'll go up that path in this conversation now. But what struck me in the course of the whole thing was you've got these views on the Israeli situation, which of course, the producers weren't to know what an incredible parallel it would be with the present day in which we find ourselves. But ultimately, you have these views, which aren't particularly pleasant to listen to, but they're coming out of the same mouth that has also spouted this vilest anti-Semitism. And I felt, what was the point of giving such a platform to such anti-Semitic opinions? What was the point of it? Could one equally have had an actor dressed up as Adolf Hitler reading from Mein Kampf on the stage? I would say that would probably get the right actor. It would probably sell out the Royal Court as well.
My question to you, there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to unpack. Graham Pack making a point, he puts it eloquently as well, which is this: how do you differentiate between the quality of the act and the awful subject? We'll come back to that in a second. You're saying, well, what's the point? Would they do a play about the Ku Klux Klan and have a dinner party with the head of the Klan or whatever it is, some grand wizard, and just hating black people, like for 2 hours, and just a hate fest on black people? Would that happen? Probably not. In other words, what you're saying, if I'm reading between the lines, is what was the point of the play? Everybody knows, and you can deny it all you like. It's like being a flat earther, that Roald Dahl's views were Roald Dahl's views. Then you have to differentiate between him being a fantastic writer and creating fabulous things and being a horrible person. You might think he was a great person. You might agree with his views. That's your choice. That's not for me to say that it's right or wrong. He didn't go out and shoot anybody in the head or anything like that. It wasn't exactly P. Diddy. So here's the thing. It's very hard, especially these days, to put a line between the person who you might think is absolutely reprehensible and vile and their work, which you might think is brilliant. Roald Dahl was a fantastic writer. Absolutely. Was he a nice guy? No, he was horrible.
Yeah, I can't listen to a Pink Floyd. I will never listen to a Pink Floyd album ever again. Ever. Yep. Ever. And many others. Yep. Yeah.
Never. I won't touch it. How did you come out feeling?
How did I come out feeling? I came out feeling that it was an evening of brilliant stagecraft. Okay. Unquestionably. I'm only human. There can be times, particularly in the first act of a play, where my eyelids can occasionally meet each other. It happens from time to time, true confession. I was gripped in this throughout, from start to finish. The dialogue is brilliantly structured, and the acting from John Lithgow down throughout the company is terrific. My question was why. Someone chatting with a friend this week was saying, well, maybe not so much as a platform, maybe it was an exposure of Roald Dahl's anti-Semitism. Maybe there are people who don't know.
There's nothing new. Two things.
But
two things. One, if you don't know now, you won't care going forward. It'll be an irrelevance. You'll go, so what? I don't care. I like his books. I don't care what he thought. Right? You've got that sort of thing, and I think people know. You're not adding. Maybe they don't. I mean,
the other thing also, of course, theatre plays to a very, very, very small slice of the population, or any given play, unless you've made a franchise like Les Miserables or Phantom of the Opera, which is a musical that gets rolled out identikit across the world to thousands of people every night. One thing, but generally a play is something that is seen by a micro slice of the world's population.
Yeah.
And typically also, playing to, if you look at the Royal Court, playing to audiences who will either know about Roald Dahl's anti-Semitism, a chunk of them may possibly concur with his anti-Semitism.
Dress it up as something else, but we know what it is.
I have to say, as far as a good evening at the theatre, in terms of drama skills, it may well transfer to the West End. As I say, you'd get good value for money in seeing the actors on display doing their work. I just do have to question overall, what is the point of it? I left feeling deeply unsatisfied and uncomfortable.
Because of course, when you think about it, much like Jimmy Savile, I know I'm conflating two totally different things. I understand that. But there's no satisfactory ending, because Roald Dahl he was always courted and feted. He was never held to account.
And
if you feel that he needed to be, I mean,
the two Jewish publishers in the show, one is this chappie Tom Maschler, and the other one is the American, this fictitious woman. Maschler is very much who, in fact, came over with his parents. They escaped Austria, around about the time of the Anschluss. So
I'm with you, Ray.
But Maschler, he is very much smooth it over. When he's trying to pour oil on troubled waters with this ghastly book review. He wants it all to go away so that Roald Dahl's books will sell like hotcakes. And he's more interested not so much in condemning the anti-Semitism of his client, but just make it all go away, And of course, the play ends.
It's inconvenient.
The play ends with Dahl doubling down in a telephone interview that he gives to the New Statesman, and you see a glimpse of this right at the end of the play. And again, this is verbatim, where he's saying to the chap who's interviewing, and I'm going to read this as a quote. Dahl says, I mean, there's always a reason why anti-anything crops up anywhere. Even a stinker like Hitler didn't just pick on them for no reason. And that's broadly how the play comes to an end. And that's verbatim from Dahl.
Yeah, I've seen that quote before.
Indeed. And I came away thinking, what is the point of this? But like I say, stunning cast, directed by Nick Heitner, who's running the bridge. Formerly of running the National Theatre. Yes, look, it's a curiosity if it goes.
It's an interesting thing that Ray Conn over in the States is saying this. I'm going to put this thing back. Stephen King, love his book. Now, Stephen King, the master of that genre, right? Can't bear him. Every time he opens his mouth, I go, please, I don't want to think that this is I can't bear him. Absolutely can't bear him. He talks, especially on social media, he talks out of his backside, many would think. Fantastic writer.
Yep.
Fabulous writer. I mean, really, not my cup of tea, I have to say. Because I don't like those books particularly, but he is brilliant at what he does, as was Roald Dahl.
They're all there. Gary Lineker was an excellent footballer. Now he's not a bad football pundit, but he chooses to stray outside of his lane of soccer. And you're right. And likewise
here is my prediction. He will be gone within 6 months. He'll be gone.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here.
I would almost guarantee he will be gone.
Yep.
They're going to revamp it, and it's a huge amount of money. And don't feel sorry for him, because he'll be picked up by another of the outlets, and they'll be thrilled to have him. Pay him a bit less, but it'll be less work. Blah 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 blah. There you go.
He does know a lot about football.
No, of course he. Yes, of course he does. He does absolutely right.
Just not a lot about much else. So.
What?
Well, that wraps up my my theatre roundup for.
That was really, really fascinating. I really, really enjoyed that a lot.
Yes.
It's the thing about art, though. Art is supposed to, in some instances, make you feel happy and just relax, like I do with the nonsenses that I watch at night, silly stuff. And some art is.
I thought you said the nonsense that you watch.
No. God's sake. Well, I review all of Hugh Edwards' newscasts. No, I don't do that. Here's Chantal like that guy. But also, and Jonathan would agree, because I know you've said it in the past, that art is meant to provoke. Sometimes it's meant to provoke. You're meant to go, I've never thought of it like that. Maybe I should look at that issue. Art has the wonderful entree into being, excuse me, being able to do that. But if it's not for you, it's not for you. I wouldn't go to see it, as much as I love Nicholas Heitner as a director, John Lithgow as an actor is a sensation, because I'd sit there, I'd want to go and punch somebody, and that's it. Graham Pack said, you see, this is another thing. Graham, I know you're being silly. You're being a little bit silly, but I'm going to put this up because it's a good point. Gary Glitter. People say, oh, but the music's great. You can't do that. You can't. Some things you can't.
Agreed.
You just can't. And the good thing about Gary Glitter is that he does not receive a penny royalties or PRS or anything, anytime, somewhere in the world, anything by him is played. The record company doesn't give him a cent.
And he has also generously donated his name to Cockney rhyming slang as well.
He certainly has. And we just end with this coming in from the northeastern United States. Jonathan Baz, I thoroughly enjoyed listening to your theatre reviews and other commentary. It was really, you were
very kind. Very kind. Thank you.
Thank you, JB. Have a safe travels all over America. I know you're traveling for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just before you go, another very good point. No, I wouldn't go and see it. But that's just me. Bye, Jonathan. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Very interesting point that Graham Pack makes. There's Michael Jackson's stage show. Again. Was he a brilliant performer? A genius. Brilliant songwriter, brilliant performer, brilliant stage. Everything about him was fantastic. Do I think he was extremely dubious? I'm putting it that way. 100%. 100%. Kevin Spacey, one of the great actors of the 20th and 21st century. Can I separate the two? No, I can't. I can't at all. Well, I'm in grave danger of running into Kevin Spacey at the Groucho Club. I'd just walk past them on my own, but he wouldn't know who the hell I am, so that's safe. Who does? Ladies and gentlemen, time now for a breath of fresh air, metaphorically, physically, emotionally. She brings to even the most dire of television a waft of magnificence. It gets better every week. I don't know. I just make it up as I see her. A little picture in my screen. Ladies and gentlemen, you know her. You love her big time. Chantal Rickards OBE.
We don't talk about bad television on this program. We talk about nice television.
We talk about nice stuff. Stuff that you like.
No.
Beautiful flowers behind you, Chantal. Lovely flowers.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Beautiful. Very nice.
Very nice.
So glad they arrived.
Funny, it didn't have your name on this time.
No, I keep things very low key. I just want a nice surprise. You're not painting? Have you been painting this week?
No, because I was in Poland earlier on in the week. As we know, I disappeared off to see my sister in Krakow, in southern Poland, and just to give her a little bit of support, and that was terrific. And I got back late on Tuesday night, and I had 2 days of work and 2 12-hour days stuck at my desk in endless board meetings. So no, I haven't been painting this week, but I'll be back to painting tomorrow.
It's been a week for being stuck. I have been literally stuck at my desk for, I don't know, probably about 12 hours a day at least.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, no, because I've got 3 funerals. I actually have 3 funerals on at the moment. Oh. I had to turn one funeral down, which I've never had to do before. I simply couldn't fit it into the schedule because I was somewhere else. I couldn't get back in time, and you can't be late. And also I'm trying to get on with my laughingly said trying to get on with my book, but
I was going to ask you about the book, because the last time you mentioned it on the show you were in a deeply grumpy mood, and your editor had given you 3 strikes, I think. So what's happened now?
Well, I've got to start again.
No,
I'm going to have to throw this is publishing for you. I wrote the book, it was finished in December last year. So
I
we're
remember
nearly a year.
Moment.
85,000 words. It's finished, right? And then we think, well, we'll change some of this, as you would. You're never going to get it right first time. I have a brilliant agent, and he comes up with great ideas, and he's very stern. I mean, stern as hell, right?
Yeah.
It's not a joke. It's never a jokey conversation. Heavy guy. So, but brilliant. And so I start to incorporate the changes, and then he says, well, I've been to see all the publishing houses. I go, okay. They don't want cozy crime. They've got cozy crime, but they don't want cozy crime. It's booked up till 2027.
Oh, good.
And I went, oh, for God's sake. I thought, I've been writing this because that's what everybody wanted. No.
They'll be back to horror by then.
They want horror.
Oh, no.
So I said to, I know you were being facetious. So I said to my agent, I said, Jonathan, hey, I said, we've had this conversation. You told me absolutely categorically horror was out. Even Stephen King had to start writing detective stories. Stephen King was taken out saying, sorry, Stephen, it's over. You've got to change genre. So Stephen King, that's why he came up with like Mr. Mercedes and stuff, which is very different. Right? Yeah, that's absolutely true. I said, you said it was finished. He said, no, that was then. Now in the last few months, all the publishers want horror. And they're bringing on editors at the major houses to just deal with horror. And I go, holy God. So I took myself off to, Waterstones in Piccadilly, the biggest one they've got hold of some very lovely assistant there, salesperson. And I absolutely drilled, talk to me about horror. Show me what's selling. Show me what's not. Is it coming? Because this is another year's work. Oh. This is another year. It's going to take me. The book's mapped out. I know what it is. It's set in a different time period, etc., etc., etc.
Is there anything that you can use from the book that you have?
Yes, I'm using the same lead character who I love.
Right.
I'm using his wife, but it's in a completely different time period. So it's going to be really interesting to try and write it with the sensitivity. It'll be 2025. Well, it'll probably come out in 2026 if I'm still alive. No, because the gestation period of these things are forever. But this is writing for you, and people say, well, "How long does it take to write a book? What, a couple of months?" I go, no, no, it does not. Especially when you're doing the radio shows and the podcast, and you're a celebrant. It's not like you can sit there. So anyway, that is it. So I had the choice of thinking, well, sod this. But you got to be sensible. You have to, really have to.
Got to keep your brain ticking over.
You have to take a big decision whether you can embark on it again or not. And if you can't, you just walk away. So I've had a little breathing. Graham, that's a horrible thing to say, and I'm not even putting it up. Right. What have you seen? Enough about the world of publishing.
Well, I saw quite a lot of Polish television, which I can't really discuss because I don't speak Polish. So we'll move on from that. But it's always very useful whenever I go around the world. I plug into Prime Video and I plug into Netflix just to see what are the top 10 shows over there and just get an idea of what people are watching around the planet. Anyway, some things are clearly identical because a lot of Netflix is dropped on the same day in every territory around the world. Just makes it a whole load easier for the publishing and for the publicity office to just get a noise going about these things. Anyway, having said that, when I got back, I thought I haven't seen very much that I wanted to see, and the screeners that had come through, there were a lot of things that I wasn't interested in, and I didn't think would be.
I've got to answer this question. I'm so sorry. Okay. I've got to answer this question. And it's a very good question from Gavin Davis. Right. I thought writers wrote what they want to write. Absolutely. You could write anything you want. The question is, do you want to show it to your mum and dad and your couple of cousins, or do you want total strangers to be buying it? And writing, for me, is a commercial venture. I write what I want to write, but I write it with a commercial. Same as Chantal with all her television productions. She'd probably want to make a show about something completely different, but she'd ask herself the question, is anybody going to watch this? It's the same thing. But Gavin, very good point.
Sadly, that is.
You got to view it with a commercial eye. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. My sister has written a book. It's been taken her 10 years. She's written 400,000 words, and I'm not sure.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to see the light of day. But anyway, we'll see one day.
400,000 words.
Yeah, but she wrote it for her. She didn't write it for anybody.
I get. A lot of people like to do that, and it's very cathartic, and I absolutely applaud that. And by the way, in case you're wondering, the average novel, the average thing you'll pick up in Smith's or at the airport is about 80,000 words. That's about it.
Oh, is it 80,000?
Yeah,
okay,
80,000 minimum.
Okay.
Minimum. You won't see a book less than 80,000 words.
Okay.
So the Gatekeeper was 130,000 words.
Oh.
And this one, The Influencer, was 83,000 words. Yeah.
Good to know. Right.
Very good.
Haven't started my book yet, but when I do, I will start
It's
with
fantastic, your book. Oh my God. Your
one
book.
day.
Everybody would
One
love that.
day. We'll see. Anyway, let me tell you about some really nice schlocky television.
Yes.
In fact, there seems to be an awful lot of schlock around at the moment.
Well, you're looking at one.
Yeah. But lovely things that are just slightly soapy, slightly, guilt-inducing, because you just think, I should be stretching my brain a little bit further. Anyway.
I don't agree with that at all.
Okay. Well, let's not feel guilty. We'll both feel guilt-free together in that case.
Yes.
Right. So in that case, you should watch a new 6-part series on BBC One. Got a great cast headed by Annette Bening, who I adore, and Sam. Yeah. Annette Bening. And it is a sort of I was going to say a tennis soap. It's set in the tennis world of South Florida, although it doesn't look like Florida. I think it was filmed somewhere else, because those palms,
Surrey.
They're definitely not Floridian palm trees. I suspect it was probably filmed in Australia. But anyway, and it is called Apples Never Fall. It is a family drama, but it is also a mystery about, rather sadly, Annette Bening goes missing in the early part of episode 1. And I was thinking, oh my God, she's one of the headliners. We can't not see Annette Bening.
We've got to have her back. Right. For
the next 6 episodes. But clearly there's an awful lot of backstory. And I'm 3 episodes in, and it's a sort of thumpingly good airport, paid turner. It's not going to tax the brain in any way, shape, or form. It looks great. The story briefly is Annette Bening and her husband are both ex-professional tennis players who set up 20, 30 years earlier a tennis academy somewhere in Miami.
Okay.
And they have just come to the end of their working lives. They have 4 children, some of whom are sort of, on the scale of irascibility, I think they're all on there somewhere. So they're not the warmest characters. I don't know if as a parent you'd look back and go, I made 4 really good kids here, because I have to say, looking at it, all 4 of them drive me completely nuts in this series.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. And then a young woman comes to stay with them, who we think is the sort of cuckoo in the nest, and we can't quite work out what this is all about. All the children have left home, but there's a young woman who is the same age as the children, who inveigles her way into the family home. And then
never a good sign.
Not a good sign. And then you get thrown forward to Annette Bening going missing, and her old man, Sam Neill, with a great big scratch on his face. And I will tell you no more, because I don't know any more than that. But so far, it's definitely worth watching. It's just perfect, glossy, well-acted.
This scratch on Sam Neill's face, is it as big as when I came to my car yesterday and saw 4 huge scratches on the front that I hadn't done?
No.
Yeah, it was a great day yesterday. I was out there with the teacup.
That's not nice.
I don't know where the hell. I don't know. Somebody just did it and dug it off.
Was it like a knuckle duster had gone down it?
No. There are 4 or 5 parallel lines along the front. Who knows? Anyway, there we are. You can't get too upset about it. No, Bentley will put it right for me.
Let's hope so. Let's hope. Somebody keyed my car once, and I just
God,
what a completely stupid thing to do.
Just pointless.
I know, and I didn't bother.
But I was cross with you at the time. You'd had a dinner party. You hadn't invited me. I thought, I'm going to teach her. That's it. No, it's really horrible, stupid vandalism. This wasn't vandalism. This was somebody had either gone with I don't know, shopping trolley or who the hell knows. Anyway, there we are.
Oh well, I tell you, I have to say, I was on the irascible scale of women of my age. I was absolutely off the scale with irascibility this morning when I found a delivery driver having a pee behind my car in my drive.
Oh,
absolutely went off like a rocket.
No good telling him to piss off because he'll have already. No, don't even go there. Joke
no, he was very apologetic, and I wasn't having any of it. And I said, well, you can bloody well wash that down. So I went out and I threw my watering can at him. And I said, there's a hose pipe over there. Go and fill the watering can and wash it down. And actually, to give him his due, he did. He left back by the front door. And he did apologize profusely. But that wasn't the point. He shouldn't have done it. So anyway,
here's a question: where are they going to go? They're under terrible. I'm not apologizing or making an excuse. It's disgusting. All right, it's revolting. But I always think, they're behind the wheel. They're running around like maniacs. Where are they supposed to do a wee?
No, well, actually, whenever I get a parcel,
not your problem, but nonetheless.
No, but if I get a parcel from Amazon or I get something delivered here specifically, I will often say to the delivery drivers, "Do you want to, use the bathroom, as it were?"
Do you?
Here? Yes, because I think it's a polite thing to do.
Is that safe?
Yeah, I mean, yes. If they've just arrived in a big John Lewis lorry, I think I'm safe.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, well, I
John
think
Lewis.
it's a a kind thing to do if you can do it. But actually, they were delivering to my next door neighbour. Quite why they didn't ask the next door neighbour if they could borrow her loo, I don't know.
You see, this is this. Is that your chat up line? Hello, Mr. Hunky. Do you need a wee wee?
Yeah. So if I get firebombed over the weekend, you'll know what it's all about.
Stop it! Stop it!
Oh dear. Anyway. Put it on your list of things to watch this weekend. Apples Never Fall, and it's on the BBC.
And it's on BBC.
It's a 6-parter. It is, it's just sort of super schlocky. It's, worth watching. It's written by the writer Leanne Moriarty, who wrote Pretty Little Lies and 9 Perfect Strangers, which have been on telly in the last couple of years.
Yes.
She knows how to write a ripping yarn. And it's a good mystery. I mean, I'm definitely going to stick with it because I'm
interesting thing. You've raised an interesting point. You always do. Chaos, which must have cost Netflix, God knows, absolute fortune with with the wonderful Jeff Goldblum, etc., etc., etc. As you know, I went to the screening of it at the British Museum. Marvelous. And I've asked everybody. I said, "Did you start watching Netflix?" Yeah. Start watching Chaos. Yes. Yeah. Did you stick with it? No. Everyone that I've asked, same as me, gave up after episode 2 or 3.
I gave up before.
There you go. Yeah.
I did halfway through episode 2, and then I didn't go any further than that.
There you go. There you go.
But I think a lot of people have enjoyed it, but maybe just not us.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It was beautiful. It looked magnificent. I just thought, I don't care now. I just don't care. I've got other stuff to do. I've just got other things to do. Anyway, there we are. Okay, no, it's interesting that it's very telling. I wonder what it is. You've produced God knows how many shows. You've been involved with television, all your working life, etc., and films. I just wonder what it is that some things, like you're saying, write this thing with Sam Neill and Annette Bening. I'm going to stick with it. We all said, "Oh, this is fabulous." Jeff Goldblum, Chaos, wonderful. No one could stick with it. I wonder what it is. That's for another day.
No,
I wonder what it is. Anyway, there we are.
That's for another day, indeed. Okay, so on Monday next, I'm going to Oop, Yorkshire.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get my flat cap on and I'll get my wig out.
Sorry, excuse me.
That wasn't.
Oh, I have waited a lifetime to hear that, Chantal. I can die happy. With this cold, I probably will.
Anyway, I am going back to the Yorkshire Television reunion, which happens every year, and I have never been to it before. And I'm hoping there are still a few people that I recognise who have, it'll be fun. But it made me think of this program that's just come up on Channel 5, which is, well, it's not Emmerdale, but if you imagine the Beverly Hillbillies set in Yorkshire 100 years ago, which is quite hard to summon.
I'm with you. I think I saw a trailer. I can't remember the name of it though.
I mean, you wouldn't put that down on your pitch to a commissioner and expect.
Remember the Beverly Hillbillies? No, I wasn't born until 30 years after it ended, but the pitch is going well so far.
Exactly. Yeah, they wouldn't know what the Beverly Hillbillies was.
Not a clue.
But there is a wonderful scene. I'll just tell you briefly what it's about. It's about a hard-up family called the Hardacres. Hard-up family living in probably somewhere like Grimsby, but it's never given a name. They are a Dockland family. The husband works on the docks. The mother-in-law is a gin smuggler. The wife brings in the herring. And then she suddenly has this brilliant idea of how to get them all out of a life of poverty. They're down to their last 2 pence. And she says, well, what about frying the fish and sort of wrapping them up in newspaper or something, and maybe we'll sell these to the dock workers. And actually I thought, okay, well, this has got off to a good start. This could be quite interesting. So at the end of the first, when you get to the first ad break, so 15 minutes into the show, they've got 2 pence. By the time you get to the third ad break, they are worth £250,000.
Yeah, God, so, which then...
exactly. I mean, it's so nonsensical, but it's absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's soap. It's just not Emmerdale Farm. It's just a new version of Emmerdale Farm. And it rattles along incredibly quickly. And the last scene of the first episode, you see them in their horse and cart arriving at the big fancy house that they've just bought, and all the staff standing outside.
Oh, I love those scenes. I love them.
Yeah. And they're telling them to go away because they don't realize that they are the new owners of Hardacres Hall.
Oh, right.
So it's going to be really good. I mean, I'm really hoping it's going to be good, but the first episode rattles along. You learn a little bit about what it must have been like to have been pretty hard up in those days, 100 years.
Not good.
Can't have been a nice place to work. But anyway, it looks great. And the story, I think, is, don't expect Shakespeare. This is absolutely not Shakespeare. But interestingly, it's from Channel 5, who've started recently doing quite a lot of drama. But I think this is the first period drama I've seen from Channel 5.
Okay.
So the production qualities are quite high. I didn't have massive expectations, but it's really not bad at all. So it's called The Hardacres, and it's on Channel 5, and I think it's a 6-parter. And it's not rocket science or Emmerdale Farm, but it's more Beverly Hillbillies, and there's quite a lot of
Beverly. I used to love as a kid the Beverly Hillbillies. I thought it was marvelous. Let us wish our good friend, Mr. Paul Claridge, who now been confirmed things are not too good. He's going to be okay, but Paul, everybody connected to the Midday show and all the team, we wish you well. Never known one guy have such rotten luck in my life. But Paul, you'll get through this. You've got through a lot of stuff. Yeah. I know what you're saying here. Azadon Brown's can't. Did you ever watch Duck Dynasty?
Oh, Duck Dynasty.
Duck Dynasty, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that is very, very astute, Azadon Brown in the northeastern United States. Yes, I hadn't made that connection. That's really clever. That's really good.
It is, and it's also, I think there's one about gold hunters up in the Yukon, which is rather similar. And actually, what a lot of people don't realize is that there is an enormous number of poor people in America. You only need to drive 5 miles from Washington, D.C., and you will find people living in shacks. And that happens in America. There is an enormous poverty problem in America. So anyway, there we are.
Well, and it's got infinitely worse. Everyone who thinks of America, they was thinking Technicolor and everything's great, or Beverly Hills or New York, and you're dining at Sardi's. It's nothing like that at all. It's nothing like that at all. Because if you fall through the cracks over there, you are screwed.
Yeah.
You think it's rough in the UK and getting rougher by the day, of course. But over there, there's no safety net.
No.
You're one paycheck away from the street. It's terrifying, really. Absolutely terrifying.
And, you know, I mean, a lot of people can just about afford to go to Denny's or IHOP or
Arby's or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I mean, and those are really sort of low quality.
I mean, look at this. Look at this. Graham Pack, when he was in Portland, Oregon the other week, they reckon 10,000 people homeless. You never even think, I'm not being rude to the people of Portland, Oregon, but Europeans don't think of Oregon particularly, certainly not Portland. 10,000 people homeless.
Yeah, and I think
it's insolvable.
The last figures I saw for LA were 85,000 homeless.
Yeah, shocking. I mean, I haven't been to Los Angeles for 6 years now, and I could not get over that you'd be in Beverly Hills and you'd see someone who's had his suit made to the custom color of his convertible Rolls Royce and is standing posing because he wants everyone to see him. And you drive for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and people are living in tents.
Yeah.
The disparity between the two was too much to comprehend, actually. I couldn't get over it at all. And it's infinitely worse now in the 6 years since I've been.
Yeah.
Terrifying, really.
Anyway, if you're going to write a book, though, the conceit of the very, very poor becoming very, very rich overnight, which of course is the American dream. Then this new program, The Hard Acres,
it's like trading places as well, when you have people who are down and outs becoming, incredibly rich. And just to finish this, I saw more homeless in Portland than I did in San Francisco in February. Yeah.
Wow.
Horrible. Right, what else have you got?
So I watched a documentary. I'm not a great sports fan. You're probably more of a sports fan than I am, but I'm
not a sports fan at all.
Okay. Well,
Formula One, but apart from that, no.
Yeah. Well, I found a way of sort of appreciating sport without having to watch all the boring bits where they kick a football around. So I sort of get it, because I'm interested in humankind and endeavor and success and all of those good things. Yeah. So actually, I caught up with, because I was away over the weekend and I was desperately trying to find something on Prime whilst I was in Poland. So I watched a documentary that came out about 4 months ago about the last 12 days of Roger Federer's career. Okay. Roger Federer, as we all know, Rafa Nadal yesterday announced that he had resigned or was resigning.
No, he's retired.
Retired. Sorry, inappropriate word. Retired from the sport.
Yep.
Although I'm sure they never stop playing. They just
they do. They do. They do exhibition matches, and people are always thrilled. You can imagine how much somebody would be so excited to play against. That would be like their dream. It'd be meaningless to me because I don't play tennis. But if you're into it, can you imagine? Oh, it would be wonderful.
But anyway, you will know the director behind it, who is called Asif Kapadia, who is a Brit who did the Senna documentary.
Now you're talking.
That. Did you see that?
The Senna documentary. I've seen everything. I think I've watched everything about Ayrton Senna.
Well, it certainly won a BAFTA. I'm not sure if it won an Oscar, but it certainly won a BAFTA. He's a fantastic documentary maker. This is not quite in the same league, mainly because it's all shot over 12 days, so it's slightly compressed. Yep. There's a bit of archive, but not masses. But what you do get is the story of a man who is about to retire. And he must be the nicest man on the planet. I knew nothing about him. I barely knew he was Swiss. He speaks 1,000 different languages. He has the nicest wife. He has the most gorgeous kids. He's had.
I hate this guy, and he's talented and wealthy. I loathe this guy.
But he's also very self-aware and very appreciative of the cards that he's been dealt. And you just go, do you know, I don't mind at all you having had this enormous success, because there's nobody nicer. And that was what I took away from it was, how sad it was. It was genuinely sad. For the last 15 minutes, I just sat and sobbed in front of the television.
You didn't, did you?
It's so beautifully done. And he sobs, and Rafa sobs, and everybody is so emotionally.
Minnie Caldwell, Ina Sharples, they were sobbing.
It's just, I was completely overwrought by the end of it, but it's a lovely documentary film. It's less than a couple of hours. It's on Prime at the moment, and if you haven't seen it, even if you're not a tennis fan, I quite like tennis, but you know, but
it's just fascinating going into. I agree with you. Sometimes it's absolutely fascinating. Go into a world you know bugger all about, and seeing the mechanics behind. You know what I don't mean the mechanics of Formula One. I mean the mechanics of how you get to be there. Interesting question. One for you, Gavin Davis. A quick question: do you think on-demand TV has stopped people watching live TV? Yes.
Yes.
I say this because we've disconnected our area. Only select programs. Gavin, I'd say 100%.
They're cord cutters, known as cord cutters.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Live television, the numbers of live television reduce and reduce and reduce by the second.
Yeah.
So that's
because Gavin, as Chantal's made an incredible number of very, very famous programs. She's too modest to go about it, but they were what you used to call appointment viewing. You couldn't wait to see that show. The whole family would gather around, hooray, and it's whatever the show was at that time, because that's the only time you could see it, right?
Yeah.
There's no on-demand viewing at all now. The closest, I'm going out on a limb, I'd say would be Strictly. But then you can watch it on iPlayer, and you can get rid of Test Daily, which is always a plus, let's be honest. So you can just shuttle through it. But that's about the closest you've got to it these days.
No, the ATVs, appointment of view, the ATVs. I mean, it's now things that often are in the live space because people want to see them live. So it's
Cup
sport,
final or tennis final or something like that.
Sport, or the royal wedding, or something of that ilk, and clearly things like Strictly, where people get totally invested in it and want to keep up with the competition each week. Are you invested in Strictly?
Oh, I love that. I know it's very, very left field for me. I know it's left field, but I tell you why I like it. In a horrible, grim, brutal world that is just going to hell in a handcart, and I feel very strongly about it and feel very powerless about it. It is lovely to have an hour of just glitzy, glamorous, utter nonsense. I don't care who wins. I don't care who loses. I don't care who it's irrelevant to me. But just lovely to have something. And radio. Oh, that's a really good no, because radio will rely on the news, Gavin. But that's why I like Strictly, and Claudia Winkleman cracks me up. I think she's fantastic. It's hilarious, and I love the judges. Even though Motsi Mabutsi banned me on Twitter like years ago, God knows why. No, I was never rude. I was always polite, And Paul Claridge is putting this one up. Apple TV disclaimer with Kate Blanchett and Kevin Kline and Emma Fisher, who he thinks is going to be a big star. Okay, that's good.
Oh, okay.
That's good. Well, that is it. Chantal, I'm pleased. Welcome back from Poland. What's the atmosphere like in Poland? I've never been. Is it nice there?
It's still good. The city square in Krakow still full of Ukrainians who come along and sing to everybody in the evenings and have their flags all over, and there is enormous warmth for the Ukrainians in Poland. And yet life feels fairly gentle, fairly benign, I would say. Feels a lot less frantic than it did a while ago.
And I have to ask you this. I know that's not why you're here, but I never get the chance to ask. I think people are genuinely very interested. What would you say when you're spending time with your sister in Poland, which I know you do as often as time permits? What's the difference between that? We're both Londoners, us living, in London. What do you notice the biggest difference?
Cleanliness. And I think London's quite clean, but I mean, you won't see a squash flyer or a piece of bubble gum on the streets in Poland. They've got
pride. They've got pride. That's why.
But there's
too much pride in their city.
Too much graffiti, but there is no rubbish at all.
Okay. On that note, thank you so much, and especially no rubbish whenever Chantal's on.
Indeed. No.
God,
Happy viewing.
That was the worst segue ever. Thank you, Chantas. Appreciate it.
Have a good weekend.
See you next week. And that, folks, is it for another week. Thank you for all the new people who've been watching the show from all over the world. How lovely having so many people in America watching the show. Really lovely. Remember, as always, it's always your comments. That's the thing. We don't censor. We don't censor unless it's really rude and stupid. I won't put it up. But always, you are the stars with your comments. That leads the direction. I'll be back on Monday with Neil Longilong. Got a big week next week, so happens. Great week coming up. Have a wonderful weekend, and as I always say, stay safe. And now to find some Kleenex and blow my nose. Bye, everyone.